And besides this evidence glaring in their face that the productivity went up, they kept fighting and fighting to get everybody back in the office. And now they're 100% back in the office. I don't understand.
Yeah, for sure. That makes a lot of sense. And I think there have been studies even passed about having like the 4-day work week and how that increases productivity overall as well. And I think, like you're saying, there's that habit forming throughout life that we think, the way we've learned it is the only way to do it. And I think there's this really great fear of trying something new in case it fails. But even if it failed, that's just more information to inform you like going forward. So it's a win. But I think it's really hard, especially if you're in the seat of a higher level and the success or failure of a company is like on your shoulders. You're gonna what are you gonna do? Like do the way that has been at least tried regularly to show that there are results, or go out on a limb and then be blamed if it goes wrong. I can see that pressure, but I wish it wasn't like that. And I wish that everybody had that space to maybe experiment a little bit more and follow that evidence like you're talking about.
Okay, I want to share something about leadership, something that I just realized. 45 years old, and I've been in a lot of like leadership positions and different like endeavors and stuff like that. And I was listening to a podcast and I just realized something. And I think it goes to what you're talking about, like why we sort of go back, perhaps. So when you're that person, right? You're in charge of something. Let's say a platoon leader, like you would be, right? And you're doing certain things with your platoon. You're the person in charge, and you have people above you, right? They're not maybe necessarily telling you what to do, but they're sort of bringing up questions. So the example that I heard of, the person was a showrunner. I'm not going to mention what show they were on. They were a showrunner. If you're a showrunner, the people above you at the studios, whatever, they give you what is called notes. You've heard this term before, notes, like you're producing a show, whatever, and they start giving you notes like, maybe you should add a puppy, or, maybe they should kiss at the end of the episode, or they start giving you these notes, right? I think in our situation, me as an enlisted person, you as an officer, we have our leaders, and they may not necessarily tell you this is what you should do, but they start to say things, and we interpret that as like, this is what we should do. But listening to this podcast, I never thought about it this way. And I think this person, like, it just really opened up my mind. They said, you don't have to listen to the notes. The notes are not there to help you. The notes are there to cover your leadership's ass. So if, like, say your mission fails, they'll be like, well, yeah, I told them to, or the show it's not a successful show. The leadership could say, well, yeah, I told them this is just a way to cover their butt. I don't know. I just feel like, wow.
Yeah, and that's interesting because at the end of the day, like, it keeps going up and up and up, I'm not anywhere close to the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the leadership chain in the military. And everybody, like my most senior leaders that I will ever talk to, are still answering to somebody else who gave them those notes, And so I think it's really interesting that, honestly, from my vantage point, stems from a mentality of fear and a feeling of being surveilled and having to answer to somebody, instead of like a more team oriented, like, excitement and motivation to just make life better for people. So I think it's difficult. And I definitely, going into that seat as a platoon leader, like you talked about, want to, prioritize not acting out of fear of retribution from my leadership or something like that, for not following.
Or so focused on your career that you forget about your soldiers, right? Because I think that happens a lot.
Oh yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like 98% of lieutenants get promoted. So I don't have to be too obsessed with it right now. And obviously have to follow what's, legal, moral, and ethical. But I definitely want to try to remember to be more of that team oriented instead of, that leadership chain oriented. So.
Yeah, I think you just opened up the door for us to get into ethics. But I want to start with